have ignition and liftoff of the Air Force Delta II launch vehicle.
Hello, I'm Colonel Randy Bunner, the commander of the 45th Civil Engineer Squadron. This video is our overview of this year's MILCON brief with a focus on projects proposed for FY97 through FY99. These programs are summarized as follows. For FY97, we have 4 projects: the Control Tower, the Air Passenger and Freight Terminal, the Ascension Dormitory, and Cape Satellite Processing Operations Support Facility. We also have 4 projects in FY98, the Antigua Power Plant, a Security Police Operations Facility, the Cape Landfill Closure Project, and a Base Supply Complex. Finally, there are 2 projects in FY99, a VOQ and a Beach Restoration Erosion Project. What you're about to see are the squadron commanders who own and operate the facilities and projects I'll be briefing today. These commanders have been active participants in the Commander's Facility Assessment Program, and who should know better than they what facility requirements are necessary to accomplish our wing mission, to enhance national strength through assured access to space. During our presentation, there are 2 things I'd ask that you consider. First, our facilities are old. Many at Patrick date to World War II, when buildings were quickly erected to meet unplanned emergency needs. They are constructed of the expedient materials of the past, wood and metal materials that don't last sited along the ocean in Florida. The buildings at the Cape date to the early days of the manned space program. In fact, many of those facilities in use today were designed and constructed for use only during the 10 years of the Apollo program. Second, our buildings are located in what is reported to be the 2nd most corrosive environment in the world. As a result of these twin evils, age and corrosion, our people work in some badly deteriorated buildings. We solicit your support of our programmed military construction projects so we can execute our base comprehensive plan and replace our deteriorating facilities and infrastructure. We remain committed to providing quality facilities in which the dedicated men and women of the 45th Space Wing can productively work, live, and play.
My name is Lieutenant Colonel Jim Scheck. I am the commander of the 45th Operations Support Squadron with facilities and personnel at Patrick Air Force Base and Cape Canaveral Air Station. The present tower was constructed in 1945 as an attachment to a hangar less than 100 yards from the ocean. The hangar continues to deteriorate, and I doubt its structural integrity. More importantly, the tower does not provide visibility into 2 critical areas of operation: the overhead pattern of the instrument runway and of vehicles or aircraft at the approach end of the short runway. Recently, we had an unobserved light aircraft intrusion which forced a C-130 to take action to avoid collision. These glaring operational deficiencies have been identified by major surveys over the past 10 years. The tower is CFA-1. We have completed the design for this project, and we need a new tower before I am forced to relocate my tower personnel to an unacceptable mobile tower.
Hello, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Robert E. Edmiston, the 45th Transportation Squadron Commander here at Patrick Air Force Base. Take a few moments to talk to you about our air freight and passenger terminal, which is housed in a 1945 hangar. It meets neither the fire egress nor fire separation code requirements. It is located less than 100 yards from the Atlantic Ocean. The reinforced steel is corroded and the concrete is cracked and spalled. The facility leaks badly. Offices are often evacuated during periods of rain. Passengers must pass through the freight area where heavy equipment is being used on the way to board or exit aircraft. This project moves the terminal to our industrial airfield area. This terminal is the port of embarkation for our critical downrange stations. It is CFA-1 replace.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Tim Roberts, the Deputy Ops Group Commander of the 45th Space Wing. The 13 dormitories at Ascension are over 30 years old and are in an advanced state of deterioration. Some are temporary facilities of metal construction never intended to be dormitories. All have gang latrines, inadequate lighting, poor sound attenuation, substandard support systems, lack of privacy, and no insulation. These dormitories house providing critical radar and telemetry tracking operations. These facilities are inadequate and are not acceptable. They are also rated CFA-1.
In the area of processing satellites for launch, we have successfully consolidated all operations in the satellite processing area. As a result, satellite movement is minimized during its stay at the Cape. But the warehouse and shop supporting spacecraft processing are housed in 40 scattered facilities throughout Cape Canaveral. Most of these facilities are old, deteriorated hangars, and the technical administration for spacecraft processing is housed in 27 leased trailers also located throughout the Cape. As a result, although the satellite stays in one place, 230 government and contract personnel commute for satellite operations. The care and feeding of spacecraft requires technical resolution using personnel and data remotely located from the processing area. Operations are stopped until the appropriate team arrives. These delays cost the government dearly in underutilized contracted man-hours. We have consolidated satellite processing in the satellite processing area. Now we need to consolidate the support staff. We've rated this need a CFA-1.
At Antigua, the Antigua Power Plant is the sole source of power to the Antigua Air Station and an adjacent naval support installation. Antigua Air Station provides critical tracking operations during all launches from Cape Canaveral. 8 500 kW generators currently provide power. Maintenance costs are high and parts are hard to get. Switchgear components exposed to salt air are corroded. The layout is inefficient and cannot accommodate expansion. The structure requires a major renovation: roof, doors, windows, and ventilation systems. Reliability for this launch essential equipment is rapidly decreasing. We also rate it CFA-1.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dale Kerr, Commander of the 45th Security Police Squadron. I'm here today to talk about 2 dedicated security police facilities that were built, one in 1942 and the second one in 1945. The operations building is sited on the airfield overrun zone in violation of airfield safety clearance requirements, and the operations building is also in violation of Air Force and UCMJ requirements for confinement cells. Problems in the last year include electrical problems where we had a comm system, computer network, and general office shut down. Secondly, we had an air conditioning problem where we had major replacement of the components in the system. A makeshift system is also part of it because a small part of our operation is a 24-hour a day, the remainder is not. Therefore, we need to really double the size of the full-time air-conditioned area to contain the control center, detention cells, and training room. Water leakage abounds around our windows facing the ocean and numerous offices. From the ceilings on the first and second floors, water enters the building. Termites were discovered there while we were doing a self-help carpet replacement project, and asbestos removal still continues in the building today. The mobility building is a converted warehouse located 2,000 feet away from our security police ops building. Climate control there is minimal as it was not built to house a manned operation. We store mobility bags, pallets, and other associated equipment in excess of $2 million in value. The distance away from our main building requires us to have a second person there. We can't use the same person as is authorized in the arms and equipment section. Therefore, we end up taking one person out of hide. This project consolidates security operations in a river campus administrative area of the base. Existing facilities are CFA-1. We need this new facility to replace what we're using now.
Hello, I'm Colonel Randy Bunner, CE Squadron Commander for the 45th Space Wing. In 1985, the state of Florida enacted requirements for the closure of landfills. These requirements apply to 10 acres of garbage that we deposited in the Cape landfill between 1 July 1985 and 1 January 1987. The requirements include a watertight cover, gas vents, and storm runoff controls. State closure permit is pending, with approval expected in 90 days. These permit requirements are expected to include initiation of closure by the base by December of '96. Any non-compliance with permit requirements may result in potential fines and penalties up to $10,000 per day.
I'm Major Brody, Logistics Support Squadron Commander. Base Supply occupies 7 scattered buildings, among the oldest at Patrick. This project relocates the supply function from the river campus to the industrial area closest to the main transportation arteries. This relocation will direct delivery vehicles away from the congested main base. The buildings themselves are sick. The I-beams, outer shells, and concrete of the metal buildings are severely corroded and require replacement. In the main warehouse, support columns are cracked and the ceiling is shored up. Metal screening is installed to protect personnel from falling concrete. These facilities are both inefficient and a safety nightmare. They are CFA 1. We need a new facility.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Doug Sobin, Commander of the 45th Services Squadron at Patrick, and I'd like to spend just a few minutes talking about our VOQ project that we have in the MILCON. Our current VOQ, which has about 70 rooms or so, is a 1941 deteriorated wooden structure. It's about 1 block from the ocean, so it's under constant repair because of the weather and water damage. It has asbestos insulation throughout the siding, all in the pipes, the ducts. What happens is a simple operation, any kind of maintenance work we do at all becomes a very hazardous operation. The VOQ has outlived its economic life. Renovation would cost probably twice as much as putting a new project into the MILCON. It stays fully occupied. In fact, it's not large enough to handle the personnel that we have TDY to Patrick. Last year we had about 36,000 officers TDY, and we put about more than 10,000 people off base in billets because of our crowded conditions. About 700,000 in all is spent on yearly on our non-availabilities.
The 4 miles of shore beach line comprising the eastern boundary of Patrick Air Force Base is eroding at approximately a rate of 1 foot per year. Several winter storms each year are a certainty. A single storm like the recent tropical storm Gordon can result in over $1 million of damage to our shoreline in just 1 day. The shoreline currently is eroded to within 8 feet of a critical telemetry radar support facility. A portion of central housing is threatened by the loss of the dune line. Dune line crosswalks are undermined and hazardous. Even State Route A1A, the Department of Transportation lifeline of this barrier island, is placed in jeopardy with each passing storm season. A sound and effective dune line is critical to protecting our facilities and preserving these shores that support the highest survival rate in the U.S. for nesting sea turtles. A major comprehensive project for long-term protection is definitely required. The beaches, according to the Commander's Facility Assessment Program, are rated by me as Level 1.